Alright. 2020 for the backyard. My god. Even though 2020 was absolutely horrible, mainly in real life, we can appreciate what I did with the backyard this year during the whole lockdown thing. And my god, I did a lot. Even before the lockdown was a thing, there were still things going on in January and February because the lockdown didn't start till March. But mainly, let's take a look at what I did in the backyard this year in 2020. And my god, I have got to say this right now, it is probably the most events I've ever done in a single year. Now, you're probably thinking, how the heck could we not beat the record for 2018? I thought that 2018 was the biggest year. No, I think this year was even bigger than that. I think in total there was 28 or 27 events? I don't know. Actually, let me count them right now as we speak. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 27 events in 2020? What the heck? Oh my god, I think that's actually a new record. I'm gonna be here forever. Well, that's if I don't get started right now. So without all further ado, guys, also, before we also begin, and yes, this is footage from Indeed. Take a look. It is indeed footage from the first episode of Backyard Reveals in 2020. And yes, obviously I will make another one of these for next year. For this year's events, once we're out of 2021, which we won't be seeing that for another 12 months since it's only just the 9th day of January. And yes, also before we again begin, I'm very sorry there has not been a Saturday Stories since September. I know I have completely forgotten about the series. Don't worry, for the next few weeks, and also starting from now on, there will actually now be a Saturday Story. Now, also before we begin, before I get started right now with this, I want to let you know that the next 3 weeks, that includes this one, are all going to be about the Legos Island events, and also the Zoids Lab 2 events. No, sorry. How about the whole Zoids Lab events thing as a whole? So, today on Saturday, January 9th, we will be doing the backyard events for 2020 in this week's Saturday Stories. And then, next week, on Saturday, January 16th, we will be doing the Legos Island events for 2020. I'll talk about them in next week's Saturday Stories of why I made all of them. And yes, that is the point of these videos, to explain what happened behind the scenes in these events, and also what happened at the event in general and how I came up with them. That's the point of these videos for these Saturday Stories. That's like the whole point. That's why I make them. It's funny because I literally just rewatched all the other ones for all of them, and my god, it's really changed. It's gotten me really hyped to do that. Anyway, on Saturday, January 23rd, and yes, we'll get into it right after this, we will be doing the Zoids Lab events for 2020, and my god, it's probably going to be a lot shorter, as currently right now, I have still not taken down the Christmas event yet. Yeah, I'll be doing that tomorrow. Hey, thank god I can get into the world, otherwise it would have been even worse. And no, I'm not doing that tonight. It's like 9:33 at night. There is no way I'm staying up all night just to take it down. No! That is tomorrow on Sunday. And yes, the Sunday vlog is coming out after this video, which will be tomorrow on Sunday. Anyway, now we can finally get into this. Sorry for the long intro. I just wanted to explain some things first. And with that being said, let's finally get into this Saturday Stories. And it's going to be a long one. Also, probably just because I made that huge long intro. But I needed to get some things out, as you guys need to know this. Anyway, let's finally begin. Here we go. 27 events in the backyard this year, and I need to go through all of them. Oh my god, this is going to be an absolute nightmare. But hey, it's worth it. I love talking about this. Let's go! For real this time. Of course, you can't start off the year in the backyard without a New Year's event. Now, we did do this first in 2019, from January 1st through the 5th, and as you can see, it did indeed come back a year later in 2020. However, to be clear, it was pretty much exactly the same as the 2019 one, the only differences being the color, and obviously it being the year, obviously, because that was 2020 last year, and my god, thank god we are out of 2020. That year sucked! In real life it did. But for the backyard, you know, the backyard I have, it was awesome. Yeah, for the backyard it was awesome. But obviously in real life it sucked. Finally glad we're out of that. But hey, it was fun doing stuff in the backyard that year, even though the year itself did suck. Anyway, the point is, again, it was pretty much the exact same thing as 2019's New Year's event. It went on for the exact same time. The same items were available again. Obviously you can see in 2019, the color was maroon. And for this one in 2020, it was brown. Why did I go with brown? I don't know. I love being random. Also, the items were in the exact same spots as the 2019 one. Of course, again, the only difference being the color and year. Also, the same type of items were available, such as, of course, the background and the pin, which was also hid in the same place. So, that's cool and interesting. The event started, once again, it was on for the exact same time as 2019's. It started on January 1st and came to an end on January 6th. So, yeah, how cool is that? Next, because we got a lot to go through here, the next event in the backyard, of course, being a returning event for, I don't know, the third or fourth time. And yes, we'll be coming back next week. This coming week, actually, on, well, you know what? For the sake of this video, I'm just going to reveal the release date. January 14th. And I don't know if I revealed it in last week's update video. This recent one that we did earlier this week, I don't know if I revealed it, but it was January 14th that I'm going to release this year's Color Party for 2021. Don't worry, it will be different. And actually, speaking of Color Party, as you can see, that's what's on the screen right now for 2020. And let me tell you, just like how I just said I'm going to make 2021's different, all this one was different. This one, it was so different. Guys, you have no idea how different the 2020 Color Party was. Holy frick, let me talk about it, because it was nuts. So, basically, in the Color Party this year, at least in 2020, well, actually, now that's last year, we're actually coming up to a year since that happened. In actually 2 days, we're actually coming up to a year since that. And yes, see here, there's your proof. Yeah, see, look, I said it's a lot more different from previous Color Parties. I mixed a few things up and added something new. So, yep. See, that wasn't a joke. And let me show you the rest. So what was different about the Color Party 2020? Well, first off, the colors itself were obviously shifted to completely different areas. Also, as you could have noticed, hold on, let me get a better screenshot of that. There we go. In this party, first, before I explain that, actually, you know what? I'm just going to explain it now. Remember, in this party, there was a vote. What was the vote based on? Well, it was actually based on colored logos that I would create for each event in the backyard throughout the year. And if you're curious, this obviously failed, as of course, I made entirely different logos throughout the year and pretty much now forgot about the concept. And I'm not bringing it back again, as I know the same thing will happen. So this was a complete failure, but hey, it was nice to finally try something new with this. Do you know what else was different about this? Oh, you'll see in a second. Oh wait, here's a better description. Take a look. See? Oh yeah, this is what else is different. As you might notice, all colors were shifted around and were completely different. Now, what was the cool difference? each color blended into the next one. And it was so cool. I don't know what I'm going to do for this year's in 2021, but I'm going to have to start planning it soon because, yeah, I only have like 5 days. I only have like 5 days to plan out this year's. Oh boy, and the construction starts on the 11th. Oh god. Anyway, the point is, yep, each color blended into the next one. It was super cool. Now, do you really think that vote was really only just in here in the workshop? Oh no, let me tell you. It was all over the place. And yes, there was purple. There was everything in this. It was ginormous. The amount of stuff I put into this. See, there was a vote for every color. Again, obviously this thing failed, but hey, it was nice to try something new. And again, I'm not going to bring it back again just because I know the same thing will happen again. Well, actually, it's probably because I have a lot more of you now. Actually, as of when I filmed this video originally, this video for the color party last year, I had like 500 something subscribers. I was only like 2 months away from hitting 600, like 2 months and 4 days away. So, yeah. Well, now that I have a lot more of you now, maybe I should bring it back. And seeing your feedback was actually pretty cool. Alright. For real though, to make sure I move on to the next one, this event started on January 11th and came to an end on January 18th, lasting, of course, exactly 1 week. And well, with that being said, let's move on to the last event of January, and then we move on to February, which, oh boy, that month was extreme. Well, let's finish January first. To end off January, I did the final special effect event, which mainly was the last event to require technology. As you might notice from the logo in that video, which is literally this video, which is about to hit a year in like 2 weeks. It is the multicolor / pixelated party. As you might notice from the logo, it started on January 25th and came to an end on February 1st. Now, why was this event held in the first place? Well, after holding the the black and white party in October 2019 and the gold party in November 2019, I pretty much had no choice but to put this one here in January, as that's like the last one I still hadn't done yet. Now, why could I have just not fit that into December of last time? Well, actually, December 2019. The reason is, of course, because that was obviously the Christmas event, and I didn't want to fill it in with that. Now, of course, like the other multicolored effects, or just special effects in general, the whole backyard was designed to look like the multicolor / pixelated event. Everything was pretty much pixelated and multicolored, and it looked pretty cool. I even just recently rewatched the video a few weeks back, and wow. Looking back on it, like literally right now, because this is still the same video from back then, it looked beautiful, and I remember that brightness. It was so bright temporarily in the video. Oh yeah, I am actually playing the footage. I do have it muted so I can talk over the footage, so, you know, audio doesn't overlap, and you'll be seeing that throughout the rest of this. Yep, I have it muted so the audio doesn't overlap, because I want to talk over the footage. But yep, as you might notice, in this party, the whole backyard again was pixelated and multicolored. Back then it would have been kind of weird, but it was still super cool. Again, it was unfortunately the last event to require technology and one of those special effects. But honestly, it was a pretty cool success, and it was also the first new event of 2020. Next one should be pretty obvious, and it actually started before Valentine's Day this time. You know why? Because I held our cruise, for our yearly cruise, before Valentine's Day. And if you're curious about this year, most likely no, because I don't think there's even going to even be one this year at all. It's funny enough because none have started selling it yet, for obvious reasons. So don't expect any cruise vlogs this year, rip! But oh well, I knew that was already going to happen in the first place. The point is, I just wanted to let you know about that, by the way. There's most likely not going to be any cruise vlogs this year, sadly. So yeah, don't expect that, and I'm pretty sure you already know why. Anyway, back to the point. Valentine's Day Party 2020. Yes, for once, unlike 2019, it actually started before Valentine's Day, went a lot longer, and my lord, it was so cool. It was pretty much just your traditional backyard Valentine's Day event. However, pretty much it almost looked a little bit different. And as you might have noticed by the logo, it started on February 13th and ended on the 18th. Of course, these events always go for 5 days. However, I want to let you know, this year's will only be going for 3 days. Because I realized Valentine's Day lands on a Sunday. And that means one thing. We can have it for all of Valentine's Day weekend. Perfect! We can start it on the 12th and then have it end on the 15th, which will be after Valentine's Day weekend. Perfect! We're doing that this year for Valentine's Day. Alright, next up. Well, we're actually not done here yet. But, yep. There were actual items this time. Now, no, there were actual items in the 2019 one, but there were only like 2 of them. This time, we actually had items unlocking on the actual days this time. Instead of just like one single day like last time in 2019, which I still cannot believe that's like 2 years ago now. My god, how fast 2019 flown by already. Now that's 2 years ago. That feels so weird. Anyway, the point is, we actually had a lot of cool, more custom Valentine's Day items. I think it was the first Valentine's Day party to give out more than 2 items. In fact, actually, it is. It was the first Valentine's Day party to give out more than just 2 items. And it was so freaking cool. Of course, obviously, the backyard was decorated in some very cool Valentine's Day decorations. Now, what was different about this year's Valentine's Day party? Well, actually, it is because I think there were actually different colored hearts this time I made. Let's see, am I correct with that? Well, no, there's the background. It's just, yeah, there was one. There was a different there were some different hearts. Let's see. Am I correct? Hold on, I'm looking it up. Were there different hearts? I think there were. And yeah, that was a custom-made Valentine's Day sign. Yeah, there pretty much was. Okay, the point is, the next event I have is so epic that both of them are coming back. One of them is actually coming back this month in January 2021, and the other that was combined with it will be coming back next month in February 2021. So, yeah. What are those events? Let's talk about it right now, because it's probably the most epic event of the year. Yes! This beauty right freaking here! Holy frick! This was way too much fun to create! No freaking joke! This was way, and I mean way, too much fun to create! God, you guys have no idea how much fun this was. This right freaking here. Look at this! This was probably my most fun I've ever had with creating an event. It was actually my favorite event of the entire year because of how freaking awesome it was. It was the Winter Luau 2020 Night of Lights. My god, I had way too much fun creating this. And thankfully, there was another Night of Lights later on in the year, but it was themed off of a holiday. We'll get to that later in the video. So, yeah. This event was actually the first time in, I think since 2019, I think since the Easter/Earth Day event, to combine 2 events. I think it was. Yeah. And a little fun fact. This event, by the way, that I'm showing you right now, was originally only meant to be the Winter Luau. until on February 15th, 2020, I got some new lights for the workshop and thought of a really cool idea to use them. I thought of putting lights around the backyard for, I don't know, why not? And guess what? You are in luck, everybody. It's coming back this February to celebrate an entire year. And now that I have millions of more lights, you can expect it to be even more epic than the previous one. Seriously. It was awesome. Now, as for the Winter Luau, it was great. And by the way, that is the main event for January this month in 2021. And don't worry, it will be different. I promise. I actually already have it planned out as we speak. I only just planned it out like a few days ago. But my God, was this event right here epic to create. Combining two events that was only originally supposed to be one. The main event for February was just about to only be the Winter Luau until I thought of those beautiful light concept. And well, as you probably could have noticed, it was a success as both the summer and winter decorations were merged together. And not only that, but lights came too. It was so cool, so interesting. I can so not wait to do this again. It is going to be awesome. The only difference about this year's Winter Luau is that there's not going to be any lights around. Actually, never mind, I'm wrong, but not as many. There are going to be a few lights around, just not as many. And actually, one of the lights is actually an item in the Winter Luau for this year. Anyway, back on topic. The point is, the whole backyard was decorated with both winter and summer decorations. Hence the name Winter Luau, which basically is a combination between winter and summer. I took advantage of that, and then also thought of the lights concept a little bit later after that. And believe it or not, I made a whole Saturday Stories about the introduction of the Night of Lights. You can go watch that in the Saturday Stories playlist. I do not remember what episode it was. I did watch it recently, though. And I don't even remember what episode number that was. Go check it out in the playlist. Because I cannot remember what it was. Although I will tell you, it was uploaded on February 15th, 2020, the same day I came out with the lights concept. So, anyway, with that being said, this event was an absolute success. And now wait to do it again this year, even though it won't be combined with both. Because now this year, they're actually going to be separate this time. And I mean forever. Unless you guys want me to combine them again. I don't know. I'll see. But not this year, though. No, I think I already have the year planned. And, oh, by the way, this was the next 2 new events for 2020. And by the way, I forgot to mention, there were so many new events this year. So the Winter Luau was the 2nd new event, and the Night of Lights was the 3rd new event of 2020. And if you thought things could not get any more crazier than that, let me tell you that there was even another new event coming only 2 events later. After the next one I'm about to mention. So yeah, with that being said, this was just again way too much fun to create. Cannot wait to do this again. The Winter Luau later on in the month, and then Night of Lights next month in February to celebrate a year. Now, why can't I just do the Winter Luau again in February to celebrate that also being a year? Well, again, I don't want to combine them again because it's going to be too difficult. Well, it was really easy last year because it was brand new. But nah, I also thought to myself, no, let's just keep them separate this time. Because I want to see what I can do with the Winter Luau without having to interfere with any lights. Besides the ones I'll be using to decorate the rooms. That's it. Anyway, if you're wondering how long the event went for, it started on February 23rd and ended on March 1st, lasting exactly 7 days. And why was it able to last 7 days if it ended on March 1st? Well, for anyone who is curious, if you did not know all year last year, it was a leap year, meaning we got leap day February 29th. And that made it officially 7 days long. If last year was not a leap year, it would have ended on March 2nd. But nope, last year was a leap year, which is how it was able to end on March 1st, being exactly a week long. And don't worry, both of those events, this year's Winter Luau and Night of Lights, again, being both completely separate and a month apart, they will also be lasting just a week long, like all the other events should be. Unless it's Halloween, the winter party, or the Christmas event. Which, by the way, that Christmas event went on for way too long. We'll get to that later. It only just ended a few days ago. Anyway, moving on! Finally. Sorry I took so long on that last one. It was just probably my favorite event of the year. And I'll make sure not to go that long on this next one. And yes, as you can see, it was the 7 Days of Fun 2020. As you also might notice by the logo, it started on March 1st and ended on the 8th. A little fun fact, I was originally going to do this event in June of that year. And P.S., that's when this year's is now, in 2021. Now, why was it in March instead? Well, it's because I remembered I normally hold the summer event around the beginning of June or the end of May. So, yeah. And why could I just not held it in April or May? Well, for May is because I already did that before, the year prior. And in April, it's because, of course, that would be April Fool's Day. Although, next year, that could easily change for the better. Anyway, I don't know. That's not confirmed at all. All we know is that this year's is actually confirmed for June. June 1st, of course. Anyway, the point is, this 7 Days of Fun was really, and I mean really cool. Well, we actually had a few new fun activities this time. It was actually a little bit new. The hose was, well, it wasn't new. And actually, a little fun fact, the first 3 activities were water related. Also, what was new is that there were boxes in each area with the exact supplies inside them for that specific day. Of course, obviously, I would have to come back every day to see what they were, even though technically I had these planned all along. And no, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing for this year's 7 Days of Fun in June, but let me tell you, because it will be in the summer months, oh, you can expect a lot of summer-related stuff, because oh boy, it is going to be crazy. Anyway, I'll talk about that once we get to June. The point is, 7 Days of Fun 2020 night, you guys. Holy frick. Again, there were 2 new ones. This being the box towers and the towers themselves. Yep. Those were 2 brand new ones that were never seen before. Oh, you know what was also new in this? Guess what? There was actually a spreadsheet for each activity. Of course, obviously, they all unlocked each day for 7 days, and we did all the fun activities. Again, 2 of them were new, being days 6 and 7, which are again box tower and then an actual tower itself. Well, is that really all I need to say? Because actually, yes, that is it. Nothing else that needs to be said. There will be some cool stuff coming back in this year's 7 Days of Fun, but prepare for it to be a ton of summer-related stuff. Because it'll be in the summer months. Perfect. Let's move on to the next event. And thank God I told you guys I would not go on long with this one. And this next one is actually going to be really short because there's not much into it. And that is none other than the 600 subscribers party. Unfortunately, it was the only subscriber milestone event for 2020, as we have still not hit 700 yet. As of recording this right here, I have 603 subscribers as we speak. And with that being said, this party was pretty small. It's funny because it literally happened the day before St. Patrick's Day, although the event actually happened the day after I hit 600 subscribers. Now, why is this? Because for me, it was at nighttime when we hit the milestone. So it was of course, dark at the time. So, of course, I had to wait till the day after on the 16th to be able to set it up. So, yeah, it only lasted for the one day of March 16th. due to it also being the day before St. Patrick's Day. And speaking of St. Patrick's Day, we will get to that one right after this. Although, oh yeah, by the way, there was a Pi Day hidden, although that does not count as an event because it was just a little scavenger hunt. It was only there just for like a day though, so no need for that because it wasn't an actual event. The 600 subscribers event was though. A little fun fact about this one, this was actually the first subscriber milestone party to feature a scavenger hunt. And probably will be the only one because I have like no idea what else to do. A fun fact, this scavenger hunt feature in the 600 subscribers party was brought back only a day later for the St. Patrick's Day event. And I'll get to that in a minute as there is more to go in detail with that. Now, with that being said, there were still a lot, and I mean a lot of cool stuff going into it. Like usual, there was obviously a project at the end. And yeah, now, of course, there wasn't really that many items available. Actually, there were actually no items available at all. Just like all the other ones. Because there never is. But I can say it was pretty cool. Unfortunate that it was the only subscriber milestone event of the year. But you know what? I don't mind at all. Plus, those don't need to come at all so quickly because, again, as you might notice, the sub count doesn't really change much, but I obviously understand why. Hey, it's fine. So, with that being said, I definitely know we're going to be hitting 700 this year, of course. I know that for a fact. And I'm not in any rush. Why would we? But I definitely know we'll be hitting 700 this year. I guarantee you that is 100% going to be a thing. I know it is because, of course, we still get another 12 months until the year ends. Because it's, again, only the 9th of January. And it's also currently 10:03 p.m. as I'm recording this scene right here. Well, at least me in the actual video right here talking to you. But anyway, let's get into the next one, which is the St. Patrick's Day. Only one day after the 600 subscribers party, I almost said 600 episode party, although actually that comes out very soon. Well, that comes in this video very, very soon. Like a day after the St. Patrick's Day. A day after the 600 subscribers party came, of course, the St. Patrick's Day party. My God, what is wrong with me? But yeah, it was, of course, this. It started on March 17th and ended on March 22nd. Now, this one was actually very different, believe it or not. Yeah, remember how I said the scavenger hunt part of the 600 subscriber party would be returning only a day later in this event? Oh no! It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't even a joke. It was not even a joke. It was actually like legit serious. Oh, I accidentally paused it there. Hold on. Where is the footage? Here it is. Yep. That was the shirt there. And yes, I still have it. So, yep, as you might notice in this party, a fun fact, we had to find gold shamrocks around the backyard to be able to unlock all the items in the event. It was an absolute success. Of course, we had to find them in the same way as the 600 subscriber party inside eggs. And why was that a thing? I don't know. Random. But it was super cool. We finally had a difference in the St. Patrick's Day party for once. And if you're curious if that's coming back this year, in this year's St. Patrick's Day party, I have absolutely no idea. Although the decorations were pretty much exactly the same, just small shamrocks on the rooms, well, in the rooms. And that was really all we did. Like, the third year in a row, although the scavenger hunt was cool, we actually had some scavenger hunts inside. And yes, that's an example of the scavenger hunt. You had to find gold, you had to find the gold shamrocks inside the eggs. Here's a brief example. Yep. You see there, it was hid behind the sign? Well, that was an example. It was hidden all over the backyard. All the gold shamrocks inside the eggs were hidden around the backyard. And again, we unlocked certain items based on what they were. Now, of course, if all the items were unlocked, you could do it in any order. But if you wanted to do it in the exact order, you would have had to wait each day. And, well, I made multiple videos about it because it was a cool scavenger hunt concept. Again, do not know if it's going to be coming back this year. I'll have to think about that. But it was really fun doing it last year. I'm finally glad I finally thought of something great for once for the St. Patrick's Day event. And with that being said, let's move on to the next event. My God, we still got a lot to go through. The next event was, well, actually, another event that combines two into one. First, it was the Celebration of Spring. But if you thought that wasn't enough, no. How about the Bike Derby as well? Yeah. Oh, and don't worry, I'm not combining that into another event again. Nope, they're back to being separate this year. I already have the Bike Derby and Celebration of Spring already planned for their dates. And no, I'm not going to reveal them because I want to save that for the future, obviously, because it makes it more interesting. The point is, this time, the Celebration of Spring and Bike Derby for 2020 started on March 23rd and came to an end on March 30th, lasting exactly a week like usual for each of those events, even if they were separate. So, with that being said, just letting you know, that was a pretty dang crazy event. And my God, it was so cool combining in the Bike Derby. Although for some reason doing that, it felt like the Bike Derby never even happened last year, even though it was combined in. Maybe that's why I'm just gonna keep it separate from now on. But hey, the Bike Derby was still a thing because we did have the finish line room in the shed, which if you got an example here, if I give you guys an example, take a look. That is the finish line room for the Bike Derby. Hooray! Oh, and did I mention all items were each event item was every other day. So one day we would get a spring item, and then the other we would get a bike item. And yeah, that's the cool concept that I made there. We actually found some brand new items for once, being some shovels and the watering can that was originally meant to be available at the 2018 Celebration of Spring. And those shovels, those were brand new, as I never knew those existed. Now, speaking of which, all the items I do have for the spring event are still here with me today, besides the background. And yeah, that's the only thing that isn't here now. Actually, the yellow watering can is gone too. We got rid of that later on in the year because it was pointless. So yep, that's gone forever. Who freaking cares? It was destroyed. Yeah, it got destroyed a few months later, so that's gone too, forever. But I didn't care about that yellow watering can, to be honest. It was kind of pretty much dead at that point. If you saw by its condition in this video for the Celebration of Spring or when it was released, you probably could have seen the condition was a little bit bad. So later on in the year, most likely by the end of the year, we destroyed it. Well, it was thrown out because, again, it was pretty much not even used. So why bother keeping something if you don't use it? And that's kind of what happened to that one. Just wanted to mention that because if you're curious if it's still around. No, the yellow watering can that was released for an item in this event is completely gone now. We got rid of it because it was never used. And yeah, I don't really care because it was kind of a pointless thing anyway. Yeah, I don't care because it was pretty much pointless. So I'm kind of glad we got rid of it because there was really no point in it anymore. Although the Bike Derby, don't worry, I still have my bike and the helmet for it. Yep, I still have everything for it. Trust me, it's just in my garage. I actually just saw it earlier today while I was in there. And by the way, speaking of which, if you guys want me to put my bike back into backyard videos, I will gladly go ahead and do that right now. Well, not in the next episode. Actually, maybe even in the next episode. I don't know. We'll see. And speaking of which, our next episode for Backyard Bios is, well, actually, I am actually not sure. Because, I'm trying to think, when is our next episode? I think it's the 10th or 11th? Anyway, I'll bring my bike back out in maybe the next episode. Anyway, moving on, everybody. The video even automatically just transitions to the next one. This being the April Fool's Party of 2020. Now, although I am going to pull up a better video footage for it, actually, I don't even have it here. Well, I know it's in the playlist, but I'm just going to give you the original video for proof that it is here. The April Fool's Party, believe it or not, I'm actually going to tell you this now, it was the first April Fool's Party to last more than a day, because guess what? You know it. Yours truly, me of course, forgot to take it down multiple times. Because, yeah, I forgot. 4 days later, on April 5th, I finally removed it because throughout those other few days that it was still up, I was pretty busy those other 3 days of April 2nd, April 3rd, and April 4th. My God, those were busy days. Do not want to remind myself of that. Although, it was actually good because there were a few things built in during that time, which is why it wasn't taken down until the 5th, making it the longest April Fool's Party ever. Oh, and if you thought that was the only time that would happen, nope, because April 4th is Easter this year. Yep, April 4th is Easter in 2021. That means it's time to reuse an old concept again. Easter/April Fools from 2018. But the difference is that it lasts 4 days instead of 1. Just like how this one did in 2020. Yeah, you probably noticed in the video, it was very, and I mean very hard to see everything. Also, April Fool's Day itself was also a busy day for me last year. Let's hope it isn't again this year, because I actually want to show it in the actual daylight this time. I tried again on April 2nd. It did work out pretty well, but it was also still at night because that was also a busy day back then. So it was pretty hard to see everything. I will tell you though, the backyard was covered in boxes like 2019, but unfortunately, unlike 2019, there were no tricks. Actually, sorry, I'm wrong. There were. They were all just hiding in boxes like 2019. So that's really it. Not much else to say about this, but it was also the 4th April Fool's Party, if I had to assume. Yeah, it was. Okay, let's move on. Although, actually, there was a pin released for it to commemorate 3 years since the, yeah, like right here to commemorate 3 years of Backyard events. That was also the same day, too. Moving on, everybody. Okay, this one was a bit weird, but it was perfect. This one was the Easter egg hunt 2020. Why do I say it was a bit weird? Because, believe it or not, it was the first ever Easter event to start before actual Easter Day. Which, if you know, over the last few years, all Easter events have always started on the actual day of Easter. But not this time, and will not be either this year as well. Because both events will start on April 1st this year for 2021. And for 2020, it started on April 10th. Because, by the way, it was actually Easter weekend at the time at making this event. So, with that being said, see, April 10th. Yeah. Yep, it actually started early this time. As you might have noticed, it started on April 10th and ended on April 13th. Now, this Easter egg hunt was again a bit different.
So right here.
Oh, hold on. Let me mute that again. Yep, there were items if you found each egg for that day. Now, of course, obviously, since this was held a few days before Easter and on Easter itself, You had to find eggs each day up until Easter, and don't worry, there were more eggs hidden on Easter than the other days. Now, this time, there was actually a spreadsheet for this, like the 7 days of fun. And by the way, those are going to come back this year as well for that. There are going to be spreadsheets for those again, because it looks way too freaking cool. So, eggs were hidden every day up until Easter, and my god, it was so cool finding them. And yes, there were hints describing where the eggs would be. Also, something was finally revealed, the little bird bath in the pond view. It could actually move all along, which is where an egg was hidden, being the second one. So that was pretty cool to see. And, well, not really much else was said. We just found the rest of the eggs throughout the rest of the event. Pretty much on Easter, actually, because I didn't make an episode on April 11th, because I didn't schedule one that time. And no, that's not going to be the case again this year, because I have it all planned. Trust me. Oh yeah, speaking of those types of videos, yeah, I need to get back to the episode release dates videos for each series. Yeah, I gotta get back to that. Don't worry, I'm not skipping out on this month, I promise. I'll make that soon. Anyway, yeah, it was really, really, and I mean really cool looking at everything we did in the Easter event. Again, April 10th through 12th. That is all you need to know. It was still fun, though. And no, unfortunately, this concept where the eggs are hidden early are not going to be a thing this year. Psych, I'm only just kidding. Of course they are! Ah, guys, why? Why would I just want to mess around a little? Of course they are gonna be hit early too, like last year, since the event is starting 3 days before Easter this year now in 2021, because Easter and April Fool's Day are literally 3 days apart. So that's actually nuts to hear, actually. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on now. You'd think it would be Earth Day next, but nope! Remember how I said earlier in that 600 subscribers part of the video that the 600 episode party would be happening later on? Well, this is finally that time, because it actually did. And this was really, and I mean really freaking cool. You know why? The backyard was pretty much designed like I want to say well, hold on. Let me give you my favorite room, because my god, it was epic. Hold on. Oh, god dang it. Went to the wrong event. Although we're going to get to that in a second. Where's my favorite room of the event? Where is it? Aha! Here it is. The pond view. No, sorry. The tripod area had got to be my favorite room of the whole event. It was so freaking cool. This was my favorite room. It was a little bit like a beach. And no, that was not the theme here. So we celebrated 600 episodes of Backyard Videos, and then we did manage to surpass 700 episodes later on in the year. So don't worry, there were 2 milestone events every year like usual. And don't worry, I already have this year's first one planned already, because I already know when it's going to be hit. And there's also going to be another one in later on in the year, because I found out there's going to be another one, because we're going to be surpassing another one after the first one this year. Anyway, yeah, we did celebrate 600 episodes of Backyard Videos. It started on April 20th and ended on April 22nd. That's because April 20th was the day we hit the milestone, because it was really freaking cool. It also was held exactly 2 years after the first ever Earth Day event. And speaking of Earth Day event, we're going to get to that in just a second. But I'm just saying now, literally, and I mean literally, every single room was designed like, well, a room based off of pretty much anything we did in the 600 episodes. Okay, I don't know. But, oh yeah, speaking of that pin, it was actually not free for once. You actually had to play soccer and shoot it in 6 times You had to get 6 goals of soccer to be able to receive the 600 episode pin, which again, of course, as usual, would eventually later on go on to the project on top. Of course, that was obvious. And well, that was really it. Next up is, you guessed it, the Earth Day event. Moving on. You know, I'm starting to realize, why is this year starting to seem like more of a repeat of the last year? Mainly probably because there's so many more events coming back than the previous year. But that's what you probably would have expected from now. Well, by now at least. Anyway, it was the Earth Day party of 2020. And guess what, everybody? It was actually kind of small, actually. I'm just going to let you know, it was actually kind of a small event. Although, there were a few items. And a few... Well, there was a scavenger hunt, I meant. Well, believe it or not, you want to know what happened? It started on April 22nd and was originally meant to end on April 27th, because these events only go for 5 days here on Earth Day events. Well, guess what? It ended 2 days later on the 29th, lasting exactly a week, making it the first and only Earth Day event to last an entire week. And no, Earth Day events are never, ever going to be going up to 7 days, ever. The only reason that happened last year is because I forgot to remove it on April 27th. So that was my fault intended. Anyway, this Earth Day event was, believe it or not, a nighttime themed Earth event. Yep, it was the first and only Earth Day event to be completely at nighttime. So, wow. How cool is that? First ever nighttime Earth Day event. Oh, hold on. Did I mention that the 600 subscribers party was the 4th new event of 2020, and the 600 episode party was the 5th new event of 2020? Even though those are just recreation sequels of previous milestone events, they still count. I forgot to mention that. Anyway, there were items around the event unlocking every day, and it was so freaking cool. The recycling bin actually returned. Well, it has been every year, and will be always. It is still in the workshop as we speak. And I did find the other second one in the garage earlier today. So, who knows, I might find that one. Because I actually want to use both of them again. Again, the first ever Earth Day event to occur at nighttime, and it was so freaking beautiful. Not tell you guys how awesome it was. So, with that being said, that's it for the Earth Day event. The scavenger hunt did return again, like usual. However, there were only 5 items instead of 8. Now, why could this be the case? Well, it's actually because I was only able to find 5 items that were relatable to Earth Day, and those are the 5 items right here: the water bottle, the newspaper, the garden bag, the cardboard box, and the air cushion. Now, funny enough, I want to say 2 of these are new. 3 of these are new. The old ones being the water bottle and the garden bag, but the newspaper, cardboard box, and air cushion were all new to the scavenger hunt. And, like I said before, that is it for this event. Moving on. Exactly 2 weeks after the Earth Day event ended was the Backyard Games 2020. And also, you guys are not going to believe it, but it was the only Backyard Games of 2020. Yeah, there was no summer one this time. Yeah, you'll be seeing what I mean when we get to July, because there was no summer-themed Backyard Games this time. And won't be. Again this year. Just kidding, there's going to be one in June. Yup, this year's Backyard Games, I'm actually proud to announce, for 2021, will be coming right after the 7 Days of Fun. Well, not technically directly after, only a few days after, or even a week after. I don't know, I'll tell you later on, in the future. Now, although for 2020 in this case, it was actually very special. Because guess what? It was the 5th Backyard Games, I believe at least. Or maybe in the 6th one? I don't know. We'll see. But there were so many awesome events. It actually combined every single event in the Backyard Games over the last 3 years. In one single event, all of them were combined in. All the ones from 2017, 2018, and 2019 were all there in one. As I said, all games in one. And as you probably saw by the logo, the event started on May 13th, exactly 2 weeks after the Earth Day event ended, and came to an end on May 24th, which was the New Backyard's 2nd anniversary. And yes, speaking of that, that is obviously coming back for the 3rd time for the 3rd anniversary. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten yet. I have it all planned. Well, not the event itself. It's just I know when it's going to happen. Just don't have anything planned out yet, and I don't need to worry about that until May. Anyway, it was no joke. There were literally, and I mean literally, events happening every day at this thing. Oh yeah, did I mention there was also a new team color? That being purple, due to it being introduced in the 2019 Summer Party, the Purple Noodle to be exact, which is now, of course, part of our collection as of then. And as you probably might have noticed, there were signs dedicating to when each event would happen in their scheduled areas. And it was so cool. Surprisingly, even though it was the only Backyard Games of 2020, it was an absolute success. And yeah, I think from now on, we're only pretty much just going to be doing one Backyard Games per year, just like 2017. Just because, I don't know, I just want to be random. Well, okay, no. Let me tell you the real reason. The reason why is just because I realized I have been holding those 2 times a year for like the last 2 to 3 years, and my God, I need to stop. Because I need to just fill in more space for some newer events. So I'm not repeating the same event so many times per year. You know, like this one. Except there wasn't a summer-themed one in 2020. Although there will be one this year because it'll land in June this time. The actual Backyard Games of this year in 2021. Oh yeah, speaking of that blue ring, it's gone now. And that was the original one. And then we eventually replaced it with another one, I believe 2 weeks later. All the other rings are still intact though. That was only a day later that happened. So with that being said, guys, I think I said that twice. Let's move on to the next event. This was still a success, though. I have no idea what I'm going to do for this year's one in June. But it's going to be awesome. And don't worry, I'm not replacing the summer party just for that. No. Don't worry. Trust me. I got it all planned. It's going to be great. Moving on. And this other one, this next one after this, should be very obvious because it was held in May. Had been a thing since 2018. Coming back for the third? No, sorry. Had been a thing since 2019. Sorry about that. I'm kind of confused for 2018. Oh yeah, I forgot that's 3 years ago now. We're really going to be hitting 3 years? This May? Holy frick! Okay, seriously though. This was not even a joke, and oh my God, now it's gonna load. Okay. This one is gonna sound a bit weird to you guys, but guess what, everybody? This episode that I made for the event was not filmed on the actual May 24th. In fact, the event went on for longer than it was supposed to, and I mean way longer than it was supposed to. In fact, actually, you want to know when the video was filmed? Yep, June 7th. exactly 2 weeks after the event began. And no, the event did not go for exactly 2 weeks. It eventually ended at the beginning of June. And by the way, I kind of took a little bit of a Backyard Videos hiatus at the time, which is why the event went on for so long. It was originally meant to be filmed on the 24th, like usual, but you guessed it, I forgot about it. Now, that meant the event started on May 24th and ended on, well, not May 27th. It actually ended on June the 3rd of 2020, making it the longest New Backyard second anniversary event. Well, technically the longest New Backyard anniversary event. And no, we are not making that same mistake again this year. No, it's going to go back to only being 3 days. And surprisingly enough, this year, May 24th, lands on a Monday, if I believe that correctly. Yeah, it lands on a Monday this year. Cool. Exactly a week before Memorial Day. Perfect. Even though I don't do a Memorial Day event for the backyard, I only do that for Legos Island. And so is that, too. We'll get to those two places in the later weeks as I explore those. Now, of course, like the first anniversary of the New Backyard, all rooms, except for the workshop, were decorated like past rooms to commemorate the last, the second year of the New Backyard. So, you had rooms from 2019 and 2020. 3 rooms each, of course, like the old one. Well, the original from 2019. And that's going to obviously be the same case again this year, of course. Obviously. Well, not really much else to say. It was pretty much exactly the same as the first anniversary. Obviously, all the rooms were different. And there were actually items. Well, there were more than 2 items. So that was cool. And that is because most of the rooms actually had, most of the past rooms actually had items in them originally. So that was cool to see. And well, that is it for that event. Let's move on to the next one. You know, it's kind of funny. We're already not even halfway through. Or actually, hold on. Never mind, we are. We are halfway through. And it's funny because I'm already starting to lose my voice, probably just because of all this talking. Let's tone that down a little. Alright, let's keep going. Summer Party 2020. It was originally meant to begin on June 3rd of 2020. However, since the New Backyard second anniversary went on all the way until that day, I delayed it. It was originally meant to start for its delayed date on the 10th of June, exactly a week later. However, I didn't have everything ready in time. I delayed it till the 15th, and then it finally arrived, ending exactly 2 weeks later on June 29th, making it the latest summer party to ever occur in the backyard. And no, that's not going to be the case again this year, because I already know what I'm doing about it. Now, this summer party was kind of a disappointment, actually. A little fun fact, it was way, and I mean way more smaller than previous summer parties. The logo definitely doesn't explain that, but it was actually a pretty dang cool logo. And yes, those are the dates if you're curious. So, in this event, oh, god dang it, I went to the next one. We'll get to 4th of July in a second. Alright. Can it load? Yep, see? Delayed 2 times. Anyway. Yeah, the summer party was actually pretty small. And don't worry, I did make it up in July, though. You'll see what I mean later. Oh boy, that was also probably my second favorite event of the year. But the summer party, the original one for the year, was actually very small. Kind of disappointing because there really wasn't much. I never actually updated all the items, and it pretty much felt like it never happened. But it was still cool that I at least tried. And yes, that is one of the rooms, which kind of explains why it's a little bit small. Now, the next view you see here, if it loads, you'll notice that a lot of the rooms are actually very, and I mean very small. Not much was put into the rooms, which is kind of why I decided to make it up in July. By making an even better and cooler event, I'm trying to get the footage so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed that I really couldn't come up with much else. Again, I did make it up in July, which we'll get to right after I do the 4th of July part. And yes, don't worry, I am making 4th of July again this year. Promise you. That's now a thing every year. So, yeah, and also you might notice by some of the rooms, they almost had nothing in them, which is also why it was kind of a disappointment. Once again, it started on June 15th and ended on the 29th. Now, unlike 2019, there were no events such as the Final Days of Being 17 party. Yeah, that was originally meant to be planned, but I didn't finish it in time, alongside the 18 party, so those were entirely skipped. Because I couldn't finish them in time. And I wanted it to be good, and if I left it unfinished, you guys probably would not have liked them. That's why I like to keep things finished. And I couldn't finish those two on time, so those two events did not happen last year. Although, that first one, Final Days Being 17, my god, that would have been epic to release because of how much more things happened in that year than when I was 16 previous year. Anyway, don't worry. The 9th, well, there is going to be a event on June 27th, though, for when I turn 19 that day. Just not the other one, the Final Days one. Just because, I don't know, not too much else happened this year, though. Moving on all the way to 4th of July. 4th of July party for 2020. Yeah, this was interesting. Yeah, that was interesting. Okay. Alright, there we go, got it. Alright, 4th of July Party 2020. You know the deal. All decorations were reused, but of course placed in different areas to make it not look the same. And of course that's obviously going to be the same thing again, because obviously. Although this 4th of July event was only meant to last just one day, July 4th, like all the other ones besides 2019. However, I forgot to take it down. So it was finally taken down on July 7th, so it lasted for literally 3 days. That is not a joke, guys. Anyway, what did this event offer, though? Well, have a look. In this one, obviously, again, I said all decorations were reused, but of course placed in different areas to make it look different. Although technically, the only reused room from a previous 4th of July event was the tripod area, because the same garland was used there again. Now, I don't know what I'm going to be doing this year for that. It's probably going to be pretty unexpected, but I do not know what's going to happen. Maybe I can probably find some of my own 4th of July decorations. With that being said, see, told you, repeat from 2018. But did I care? Absolutely not. Because there was actually a background. Okay, I'm sorry, there was only just a sign that said 4th of July. And by the way, that sign was actually the same one from the previous event. The previous 4th of July event. So that was very cool. The only new additions from the room for that were the red and blue rings. Of course, that being the blue one and that being the red one. And by the way, those were brand new rings, which we got back in May due to the other ones being a little bit destroyed. So I guess that's not a repeat room after all. Nice. Well, that's all I gotta say. This year's 4th of July event for 2021, I have no idea when it's gonna... Well, I know it's gonna be July 4th, I just don't know when it's gonna be. We'll think about that in the next 6 months. As it is not July yet, it is only January. Wait till I say that in a few months when it is July. I have no idea what's going to happen by then. It's probably going to be awesome. Moving on, it has got to be my second favorite event I've had fun creating in 2020, which is literally a remake of this summer party that we had in June that was kind of a disappointment. The Summer Luau 2020, which makes it the 6th new event in 2020. Sixth new event in 2020. Although actually, kinda not. It was originally featured in the final summer activities in September 2018, but only as a 2-room event. However, in 2020, I brought it back as its own event with, holy frick, a ton of content put into it. This is going to be the most fun event I've ever had after the Winter Luau Night of Lights. Okay, I think this is now my new favorite event of the year because there was so much content. How did I come up with something this big? Well, I needed to make the summer party a lot better, so what else was I supposed to do? And yeah, as you can see, there was a ton of content poured into this. There was a million things in here. So many things were brought back from previous events, such as the following: the summer party, 100 episode party, the backyard games, and the water party. There we go. So there were 4 things mixed in to each. So it was kind of a mix of 4 different events in one, even though it was actually just one single event. What I mean by a mix of 4 events, I'm talking about their activities. Yup, a mix of 4 different events activities were all mixed into one gigantic event, and this was absolutely nuts. It is now officially my new favorite event of the year, and actually, believe it or not, I'm going to say, I honestly had way much more fun having done creating this than the Winter Luau. This has got to be probably, again, the most fun event I've ever had created. Now, I did say earlier in the video that the Winter Luau and Night of Lights was my favorite one to create, but honestly, rewatching this now I think this one is. This had way too much content. I planned it out a few weeks before, around 4th of July, but I didn't reveal it to you guys until July 15th, I had to believe that correctly. Yeah, it was a lot of content. The following things returned include the ring hunt, the water gun scavenger hunt. Okay, let me just tell you that clear. The water gun scavenger hunt from the 100 episode party, the ring hunt from the backyard games, frisbee from the backyard games, soccer from the backyard games, the water pool fins from the water party. Oh, and I forgot to mention all of those are from 2017. And the last one being the soccer shootout areas from the Backyard Games 2018 Summer Edition. So you can see there was a ton of content put into this. And not only was there so much content, but all the rooms were completely custom made, specifically for the activities. And some of them were entirely based off of Luau themed stuff. This was still an absolute blast to create. And lucky for you, there is one coming back this June. So be on the lookout for that. And technically, that will be our summer party for this year. Just so I don't make a 2 disappointment again. The reason why it'll be this year's actual summer party instead of just having the original summer party itself is just so I don't make a repeat of what I did last year for the summer party. Yeah, I don't want to make that again, so we're just going to do the Summer Luau instead, as it'll technically act like the actual summer party for the year. Just so, again, I also don't make that same mistake I did for last year's summer party. Yeah, don't want to do that again. Because, yeah, the Summer Luau will be much better. And don't worry, I'm not taking away the original summer party forever. Just for this year. Just so I don't make the same mistake as last year. Of not putting much into it. Now, the summer luau for this year, I just want to make it clear, it's going to be much, much more different. There is going to be still a lot of content going in, but I just want to say this original one from 2020, holy frick, absolute success, way too much fun to create. Again, favorite event to create this year after the Winter Luau Night of Lights. And if you're wondering how long it actually went for quite a while. It started on July 23rd and ended on August 2nd. Also, one more thing, before moving on to the next event, it was also the first main July event to not start many weeks after the 4th of July event. Yup. Well, actually, I'm wrong. That happened in 2019 with the Backyard Games 2019 Summer Edition. What I'm talking about is the fact that there was not a gigantic amount of weeks between 4th of July and the August event. Okay, if you guys are confused, what I'm talking about is, you guys remember in 2017, after the summer party for that year ended on June 19th, there was no event all the way until July 23rd. Now, this was due to the 2017 New York trip. In 2018, pretty much the same thing happened, but after the 4th of July events, in the middle of July was the 2018 New York trip. And at the end of the month, we had the Backyard Games 2018 Summer Edition. 2019, on the other hand, we had the 4th of July event, and then only almost 2 weeks later, or actually 10 days later, we had the Backyard Games Summer Edition for 2019. That ended, of course, the 24th of that month. And then only 3 weeks later, due to the 2019 New York trip, the water event didn't start all the way until August 11th, meaning almost 3 weeks without an event. This year in 2020, however, none of that happened, meaning there was no long delay between the July event and August event. There was no mid-month gap in July, for once. Yeah, how awesome was that? You know why? Because there was no trip last year, for obvious reasons. And that might have been the only year that could happen. Where there is no long gap between the main July event and beginning of August event. Well, the beginning of August event, which would be the water party, which, by the way, we're going to get to right now. Just wanted to mention that really quick because, yeah, it was actually the first year not to actually have any of that happen. The long gap between events in the summer. So that was something new. Anyway, sorry about that. Let's get back on track now. I just wanted to point that out because this might have been the only year that could happen. Again, this event here was absolute success. Definitely doing it again in June. Not July because I think I want to have something else planned for July instead. And just in case we do have the trip this year, I want to do it at a different time. That's just in case. I think the New York trip is probably going to come back this year, so that's probably why, if I had to assume. Because we all know this year is going to be much better. Alright, moving on is the water party for 2020. Unlike the previous one in 2019, there was no long gap in between it. Because it only started 7 days after the summer, 7 days after the summer luau ended. It started on August 9th and ended on the 16th. No, sorry, hold on. It was originally meant to end on the 16th. However, just like the April Fool's party, I forgot to take it down. So it ended 3 days later, meaning 10 days after its start date, on August 19th. And no, we're not going to have that happen again. Oh, wait a minute. The same thing happened for the Christmas event! Yep, I forgot to mention. Same thing happened for the Christmas event. But we'll get to that later, because, yeah, that's kind of a funny story. The same thing happened for the Christmas event, but I'll tell you about that later. Anyway, back on track. So this water party was actually a recreation of the original water party from the first ever one in August 2017. As we were about to hit 3 years since the first ever one occurred, I wanted to make a small recreation event. And I think I did pretty well. The water bins from that event and the summer luau came back. But of course, in completely different spots, just so it's not a copy and paste. Seriously, it's never going to be like that. It's never going to be a copy and paste. I even just rewatched this video back recently, and it was awesome. So, there were some items given out too, and also the hose was all around the backyard, so that was actually brand new. It was like around the backyard in certain areas, so that was a brand new twist. The water ring hunt did not come back from 2019. Well, as an actual scavenger hunt, but it did come back for a whole episode though. I think like a few days after the event started, so that was cool. Not much else to say aside it being a recreation of the first ever water event from 2017. And that's really all you needed to know. Not much else happened. It was absolutely insane, just like the summer luau, but not as insane. So, with that being said, I don't know if this is ever going to stop loading, so let's move on. This next one should be obvious. Okay, that took a few minutes to load. I have no idea what happened, but it was the 4th anniversary party for Backyard Videos. Obviously, there will be one this year for 5 years. Why wouldn't there be? This one started on August 25th and ended on the 26th, like usual. And yes, unlike the water event, it actually ended on the right day. Anyway, this one was actually a bit different, as there was no time travel feature, but there was actually something else that came in mind instead. You know what else came in here instead? The fact that there were rooms based off of the original dates of when we started doing certain activities in the Backyard Video series. As you could see there, intro and outro on top of the pump house, episode 16, November 7th, 2016. Basically, there were signs all over the backyard basing off of when certain activities made their debut into the Backyard Video series. And my god, that was way too much fun to create. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing this year. For 5 years, we'll have to see what happens when we hit August 25th. Well, who knows what's going to happen by then? Because I have no idea. Because it's only January as we speak. Eventually wait till we hit August and we'll see what happens by then. The point is, a little fun fact actually, the video for this event wasn't uploaded until only 3 months later in November of 2020. And you know why? Because at first, the video wouldn't even upload to my channel for some reason. Trying it again only a month later, it didn't work. But finally, only 2 months later, I forgot to do about it in October, but it finally worked in November, which explains why it was uploaded this late. But hey, it's better than not having it up at all. And it was still filmed on the right day of August 25th, though. Just uploaded only almost 3 to 4 months late. So, yeah. Anyway, not really much else aside from it having a ton of signs showing when each activity made their debut into the series. And all of these activities still exist today. So, what do you expect? Anyway, with that being said, my god, I miss whole construction. Now not really much else is to say aside from it was really cool showing when all the activities made their debut in the series. Even though technically you can go watch the original episodes in the Backyard Videos playlist to go see when these concepts were introduced into the series for the first time. But if you don't want to do that, you can watch this episode of episode 650 in the Backyard Videos playlist, and you'll be able to know when all these came out. Or just go watch the original episodes for yourself. Just make sure to find out which ones they are by watching this video. And then go back and just watch the original videos to see how they were originally created. That's all. With that being said, moving on. This one's going to be a bit of a shocker, but guess what? Next up after the Backyard Videos 4th anniversary was the Celebration of Fall 2020. Now you're probably wondering for a second, wait a minute, isn't there supposed to be a beginning September event? The answer was yes. And that's what it was supposed to be right there. Until I pretty much forgot about it. Although, not entirely. It was actually combined into the Celebration of Fall. In fact, the Celebration of Fall was actually the 100th Backyard event. So, that was awesome. It was the 100th Backyard event! Woo! Okay. No need to go that crazy now, because we're done doing that. Anyway, back on topic. This event started on September 18th and ended on the 25th. Oh, and if you're curious, this year's will start on September 19th and end on the 26th. That's for this year's. In September, obviously. I'll remind you again once we get to that point. Anyway, let's get started. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, since there were 2 events at the same time, being the next one, oh yeah, this was also the 7th new event in the Backyard in 2020. My God, there were so many new events this year. Oh, and if you thought that was it, oh no, there's more. There's still more new ones that were still in this year. And actually, there are going to be some new ones this year in 2021. I have a new event planned for May, and then one for April. So it's going to be pretty cool. Anyway, oh yeah, did I mention this was also the Celebration of Fall, which almost saw the end of the original fall hats? Yeah, that thing got pretty destroyed throughout the event, and yeah, I almost thought I was going to lose that thing forever, but thankfully, it wasn't completely gone. Now, thank God it wasn't, because I'm bringing that back again this year. For the 5th year in a row. Oh, God. It's going to feel great. Of course, the wagon obviously returned like usual. That's going to be obviously the case again. The whole backyard was decorated with fall stuff once more. Obviously, all the decorations were shuffled around, so they weren't obviously going to be the same room designs from previous years. Of course. Why would we want to make that happen for, like, the 4th time in a row? So, yeah. Anyway, there was not really too much happening aside from, well, yeah, the condition of the fall hat. Yeah, this event was pretty much all about the fall hat almost being destroyed entirely, so that was kind of the main plot of it, was the fall hat was starting to tear apart for some odd reason, and throughout the event, it kept getting more and more torn apart. And, well, I can't show you what it looks like right now because I don't have my face cam on, but, oh well. It was pretty much just the same thing as the normal Celebration of Falls, just combined with some 100 episode aspects. No, sorry, the 100 event aspects, because it was the 100 event in the Backyard's history, actually. It was the 69th new Backyard event. This next one will be the 70th one that we're about to go into, which was technically event 101. This next one is a recreation of the Night of Lights, just themed after Halloween. Remember how I said earlier in the video that there would be another version of Night of Lights later on in the year? Well, that's this one. a little fun fact. This event was supposed to begin on October 4th and end on the 12th. However, I delayed it till the 18th due to the fact that I wanted it to go right into the Halloween event, which started exactly a week later on the 25th. So, as you would have clearly expected, this event was pretty much based off of the Night of Lights, just with Halloween decorations. Ooh, how interesting. That being the 8th new event in the backyard. For 2020, I meant. My God, was this beautiful. Yep, there you go. There's your proof that it is a Halloween version of the Night of Lights. But my God, you have no idea how many times I used lights this year. It was ginormous. No, we're not going that crazy this year. Yeah, using lights this year, it was amazing. At least for this event, it was cool. Of course, like the original Night of Lights, the lights changed every day. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that for the original Night of Lights earlier in the video. The lights changed every day. And that was cool, right? Well, the same thing happened here. It was only just a Halloween version, and there was also less lights. So, rip! Anyway, that was it actually. Next up, we can move to the Halloween one. The Halloween Party 2020. It started on October 25th and ended on November 5th. This one was actually quite huge, not only for its extremely long time in the backyard, but also there were 2 new scavenger hunts introduced. Believe it or not, it was the first Halloween party since 2017 to have a scavenger hunt. But not just 1, but 2. There were 2 scavenger hunts in this thing. 2 of them! Wow, did I go crazy this time. Also, guess what? If you thought that was cool, oh, there's more. So much more. And yes, there's your description of the scavenger hunt. You're welcome. And yes, I did a screenshot of it just in case. I haven't made it clear yet. The whole backyard was, of course, once again, for the 4th time, decorated for Halloween in a completely different way. Also, there were some new candles, actually. Some new Halloween candles. Just to make it a little bit more cooler. It was actually really, really interesting. Oh, yeah. Did I mention? This was also the first event to have the wagon in a completely different location. In the backyard, at least. Instead of it being at the field, it was at the tripod area for once. And my God, that was beautiful because it was finally about the time to change it up. Of course, like usual, since I said there was a second scavenger hunt, there was the candy hunt. Oh yeah, did I mention that scarves were introduced for the first time ever? Yep, that's also what this event introduced. So there were a ton of new content in this event, making it the first Halloween party since 2017 to actually feature more content than previous years. But mainly the first one since 2017 to feature a scavenger hunt. Wow. Remember I said there was a second scavenger hunt? Well, it was the Halloween candy hunt. And I don't know if it's going to be coming back this year, but I will tell you that there was a lot going into this one. A lot. And by a lot, I mean a lot. Oh yeah, the black skeleton was put in here too. Forgot. But that wasn't a point of it. So what was the candy hunt, you might have asked? Well, actually, it's because I found a piece of the candy around the backyard for Halloween. Why did I not think of this in previous years? Well, it's actually because I never really thought of the idea all the way up until pretty much last year in 2020. So, yeah. My God, why did I not think of it before? I thought it would have been kind of weird. But no, I decided since I already did the pumpkin scavenger hunt, I decided, let's finally do something cool for Halloween. And, yeah, it was really awesome, actually. Of course, it was only a one-day event for featuring the candy hunt. And that was super cool, right? Well, I don't know if it's going to be returning this year. Most likely no, but if yes, then I'm definitely going to do something cool for it. Back to the Halloween party video, though, here. We have pretty much nothing else to say, aside from 2 new scavenger hunts, the introduction of custom scarves, and 2 new Halloween candles. Oh, and the wagon finally being in a different place but the field. That's it. There were also no new Halloween decorations besides those 2 candles. But do those really count? I don't know. Oh, but this next one. My 3rd favorite event to make this year. But not as much as the Summer Luau or Night of Lights Winter Luau. Oh, this felt good. And I still have all those lights today. This being the 4th anniversary of the Top of the Pump House, even though I never own the room anymore. And we're actually coming up to 3 years in May since I stopped owning the room. It started on November 7th and only went for the one day of November 7th. It actually took 3 episodes of the series to set it up, leading up all the way up until the night. And my god, was that background super beautiful. I just recently rewatched the episode. My god, it looked absolutely freaking beautiful. What the heck? Why was I so freaking good at this? It's funny, because that was literally only 2 months ago. Oh, why does time fly by so quickly? I kind of want it to be that month again. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, there were fun facts in each room about the Top of the Pump House. But mainly, there was lights all over the place. Jeez, what the heck was wrong with me and lights? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, this year was actually Year of the Lights in the backyard. Because holy frick, I use lights pretty much every event after February. So, yeah. This was cool. Yeah, do you see how many lights I used? It was probably the best Top of the Pump House anniversary celebration I ever have done. I don't think I can go any more crazier. I don't know what I'm going to be doing for 5 years this year. But I can at least say that it's going to be cool. It's going to be interesting. And don't worry, I will have the lights set up again for that. It was just so freaking cool looking at this. It was awesome. Well, guys, not much else to say aside that we did celebrate 4 years of the Top of the Pump House. And we celebrated with those beautiful, pretty lights. And accordingly, I think, yeah, one of you liked it. That was cool. Oh yeah, interruptions. Again. But yep, this. Yep, see look, the other 2 episodes were paired up for that. And well, that's it. Nothing else to say. Aside from moving on. Once again, if there hasn't already been enough times this has happened throughout the year, 2 events at the same time. Again, if it couldn't have already gotten any more crazier, both the 700th episode of Backyard Videos, meaning the 700th episode party, which was not too interesting, so we're not going to talk about that for long, but also the winter party at the same time. Impressive. My god, I cannot believe that actually became a reality. And we actually did celebrate 700 episodes. So that was very interesting indeed. For the winter party, it started on November 19th. And ended on December 3rd. As for the 700th episode party, though, it started on November 19th and ended on November 26th, which was Thanksgiving for that year. The second custom scarf was released in the winter party, being the winter scarf, which I still have today. In fact, I was just wearing it all day yesterday. It looked pretty cool, actually. Well, there was actually kind of a theme for the winter party. The 700 episode party was not interesting at all because almost nothing happened besides the project and pin being hidden, so we're mainly just going to talk about the winter party here. So, as for the winter party was actually different for once. It was actually designed in a theme I liked. What I tried to do was design the backyard like a winter wonderland. Because, come on, what else was I supposed to do? Well, I don't know if I succeeded, and also some new lights were introduced at the time, being the snowflake lights, which I still have today, and will be used for the winter luau later on in the month. So yeah, with that being said, the winter party was an absolute success. It was finally cool that I did change the theme after over a few years, and it was awesome. So basically, the workshop was like a winter cabin. The shed was the outside of the winter cabin, which technically would just be a workshop. The pond view was the winter wreath area. The field was just like the icicle area. And the tripod area was the cold drink spin area. And the tree next to the garden was the snowflake tree. And finally, the garden was just like the snowy garden. So I kind of designed it like a winter wonderland. Kind of. It looked very, very cool and interesting. Yep, that was the snowflake tree, by the way. Looked pretty dang interesting. I loved it a lot. I did not realize how much can go into one single event. Especially for something this big. Interesting. Well, I managed to succeed, and this is what we got. It's funny how this was only 2 months ago, and I'm already talking about it already. Wait till I do this next year in 2022 for this year's actual events. That's going to feel interesting. Actually, I don't even know how many events I'm doing this year. Probably not as many as this. Definitely not as many as this. Oh my god. We're already up to like an hour and 42 minutes, and we're actually already about to be done. 2 more events after this, and we're done. So, yeah, winter party. The concept finally changed. Each room had its own unique winter design, and it was super cool and interesting. With that being said, let's move on to the next event, which is the second to last one. Which, well, if there hasn't already been enough of them again, another new event! But I think this is like the 8th or 9th new event in 2020. Although, like the Night of Lights Halloween edition, it was pretty much just a recreation of the original 3-in-1 festival from September 2019. And if you're curious if I'm going to be making another recreation of that, the answer is yes. You'll find out what it is later on in the year. As for this, it was the 3-in-1 Festival Christmas Edition. It started on December 11th and ended on the 14th, meaning it lasted for the entire weekend of December 11th through 13th, which those were Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it lasted for the whole weekend. And it was a gigantic success. In this, it featured the candy cane scavenger hunt, the Christmas-themed soccer, and the Christmas logo vote. And no, not the color logo vote. No, I'm done with that. But logo votes, though, technically, for choosing an actual logo, yeah, those will most likely continue. Actually, that's going to be kind of the theme of the color party now that I just thought of that. You can help me choose what logo I should do for the winter luau. But I gotta make some first. Anyway, this was a very interesting event. It was held right before the Christmas event, which technically only started a week later. And, yeah, it was super interesting. And, yeah. Now, how cool was this? Having all this here. Very interesting. Yep, the logo vote was right there as we speak. And it was super cool and interesting. So even though this event was short, it actually went by pretty fast. I did not realize it was going to be that way. But it was still cool, not going to lie. Pretty interesting and fun at the same time. It was mainly a nighttime event. Anyway, with that being said, not much happened besides those free events in one. But let's move on to the last event of the year, which I'm actually serious it is. And actually, it literally just played the video for us. Nice. Here we go. Last event of the year, which only just recently ended. Oh God, that's not the correct date. Originally it was. Till something happened. You remember how I said that the Christmas event got a little bit messed up? Well, that's with the dates. I'll give you a hint. Actually, I'll say it after I'm done talking about the event. This was the final event of 2020. Very interesting. It started on December 19th. And well, I'll tell you again later on. I'll at least tell you it did start December 19th. Which is now officially the latest Christmas event ever. It's funny how this only ended earlier this week. And that is nuts. Of course, this event was kind of a repeat of the 2019 one, which was for all the Christmas colors. However, the difference was, of course, they were obviously all swapped around, and a new addition was lights. Yep, there were actual Christmas lights this time. How awesome, right? I used lights I collected throughout 2020 to put into the Christmas party. And no, I did not collect all the lights throughout the year just to do this. No, I only thought of the idea only a few weeks before setting up this event for putting the lights around in the backyard for Christmas. Of course, in last time, that used to be a different colored room. But, yep, as you'll notice, you'll easily start to recognize as this was stuff that only just recently ended. Oh man, what a long year this was. Well, as you'll notice, not too much happened besides the change in color for all of this. And also, yeah, there were actually some new decoration, including that little tree. Yup. This thing right here, that right there, that was new. That was a new decoration. Oh yeah, the gold snowflake was new to the winter party alongside the silver ones. You know what else was new? You know what else was brand new? These. The candy canes. But unfortunately, they never came into the event. To make up for this, I will be doing it in this year's Night of Lights. To make up for it. Even though it will actually be February. So yeah, the new edition of the Christmas event this year was the lights and a few new Christmas decorations. There was even actually a Christmas wreath this time. Yep, it was actually new. There were also 2 new Christmas colors added in. And you want to know what they were? No, not red. But, take a look. White. Yep, there was white. But if you thought that was more crazier, oh yeah, the little, hold on. The spreadsheet was different. I made that like a month before. Oh yeah, see? Rainbow was added too. Oh, and that rainbow candle was added too. Do you not know how much more was added in this year than the previous? Yeah, it was actually different. And well, this is where I explain how long it went. Oh boy, you guys are not gonna believe how long it went. Are you ready? It started on December 19th, which was its release date. However, it did not end on January 1st like all the other ones did. No. It ended on January 5th, 2021. Yeah, that was a shocker. Did you not see that coming? You probably thought it was just going to be the usual January 1st again, which is how it was supposed to be anyway. But no, I forgot to take it down, just like the water party and the April Fool's party from earlier in that year. So I kind of did the same thing 3 times in a row in 1 year. Yeah, rip me. Actually, sorry. 4 times in 1 year because of the New Backyard 2nd anniversary event. Although that one was actually because I forgot to film the video until like the time I took it down. So at that time I literally had to set the whole event back up. I'm talking about the New Backyard 2nd anniversary event. In order to make that video, I had to set the whole event back up exactly the way it was for like the whole video, and then I took that down again. But yeah, 4 times in 1 year I actually forgot to take the event down, and they ended a few days after they were supposed to. And the Christmas party was actually the last one to have that happen. Do you think that could possibly be a new thing for the Christmas event? Could they possibly go past January 1st like they did this year? We'll find out this year if that's the case. Could have I been secretly planning that all along? Actually, no, it wasn't. No, that actually came out of nowhere. I was never planning that. That came out of absolutely nowhere. So, with that being said, everybody, that is the end of 2020 for the backyard. As you'll notice, this next video playing is actually for this year's New Year's event. However, we won't be getting to that until next year in 2022 for when I tell you all about the 2021 backyard events. We've only had the New Year's event happen so far as of recording this, and there's going to be plenty more events happen throughout this year. And it's going to be epic. And see, that proved that the Christmas event was still going on. So, with that being said, thank you all for watching. Sorry that this was a long video. Next week's will not be as long because hopefully there's not as many LEGO Zombie events as we did for this year. But, oh well, we'll see what happens. See you guys tomorrow for the Sunday vlog. And, yeah, it's now like 11:28 right now. I'm going to upload this and shut down my computer because holy frick, I've been recording this for like over 2 hours. See you guys. And let me know what your favorite event of the year was. Yep, that was all 27 events this year. My God, that was a lot. Let's hope this year isn't not going to be that crazy. Oh, finally done. Man, I'm tired from talking about that.